I am changing the way that I write my books as an indie author. Stay tuned to find out why. Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Alicia J. Armstrong here. Welcome to my channel. So, as you can tell by the title of this video, I have 4 different tips on how to get out of a writing slump. As a part-time indie author, I am currently in a writing slump. Everything that's going on in the world with the government shutdown, with my work just increasing, I have just really haven't had the time to just kind of devote to writing. And so I hope by me making this video to help you, if you're experiencing this as well, it'll also help me to get back into writing. You see, I am currently in my car, obviously, because I am actually on lunch for work. And I said, why not just go ahead and make this video? Because if I keep prolonging it, I'll never get through this. So this explains the setup of today. As I stated before, I am changing the way that I write my books. So if you know, I am heavy on erotica. I give you all types of erotica feels. My books isn't based on their erotica stories, but when characters get into it, they get into it. But I have been convicted of how I'm writing, what I'm writing, and how it compares to my faith in Christ, and just going along the lines of, you know, we have same-sex intercourse, we have same-sex marriages, and just all the things that kind of go against what biblically I believe. And so that's why I say I am changing up my writing. For clarity, I am still going to give you the drama, give you the sass, give you all those things that I've given you in Club Ecstasy and even in my fairy tale retellings. The context of what my characters are going to go through are day-to-day lives of what people go through. So I don't want you to think that I'm changing fully. It's just more of dialing it back with how much erotica that I have given you in the past. And so I don't know how much I can share about my future projects that's coming up right now that we're going to get into in this video. But one of my group projects is going to be a series where it's 3 ladies, 2 ladies and myself. And we each are going to write a book in this series. And what I can give you is that it's going to be a paranormal romance. So a little backstory, this book has been in the works for a while, and we had to adapt it because of my original concept for this series had to change because we had a lot of ladies back out. But these 2 ladies stuck with it and said, hey, we want to write with you. We're here to collab. So we developed a new series that we are going to publish next year. And so I need to go ahead and start outlining the book. I need to start writing, and because we're going to have some tandem scenes throughout each book that we meet together. And so I need to go ahead and start doing that so that I can prepare for this book along with the other books that I want to release to you all next year. And so we're going to work on that one. When I refer to paranormal romance, that's the book that I'm talking about. And then the other book that I want to get to that I've been like really writing in, but I kind of got stumped as far as if I wanted to do first person POV or third person POV. Let me know in the comments too. Do you like reading first person POVs or third person POVs? Because I've learned that a lot of mainstream authors, they write in third person, but a lot of indie authors, we write in first person. But as a reader, what would you prefer? So let me know down in the comments about that. But this book that I'm talking about, I'll call it a fairy tale retelling because it is a fairy tale retelling. I won't let you know which fairy tale though, but it is a fairy tale retelling, and I'm really enjoying what I've developed. I've just got to the middle mark and I'm like, should I have written this in third person? I do this all the time with all of my books. I second guess the POV that I've written in. I second guess the story development or the storyline that is coming to. And right now where I'm at, a big plot twist is coming or is there. and I'm trying to decide how I want to relay this plot twist. And so that's what that is. But I want to get into really the conviction that I had with my writing. Without going into too much details, there's a female out here who is in the LGBTQIA plus community, and I've been hanging out with her along with other people in our group, and she has read my books. And so from that, I guess she feels like, because of what my books are saying, that this is me. And I want everybody to know that I write through my creative imagination. I write through experiences from myself, experiences from my friends, whatever is famous in the news, like what I pull from all different walks of life in my writing. And so I don't want no one to ever think that because you read this, then you know who I am or what I want, what I like, what I'm into, all that other stuff, right? I pull from all over. And so I guess to her, she felt like this was a part of me. And prior to this, the Lord has already been working on me with, how much in detail that I go through. And I understand that some people are maybe struggling in areas of sexual addiction, because that is a thing. And so in reading my book, that's not going to help you. I've had people tell me that, it's very spicy, and to the point where they're waiting for their spouse to come home, or they're doing self pleasures, all these different things, right? In which it's nice that, okay, my words have effect, but then you have to also understand that our words have power. And so with that, the Lord has been dealing with me. And so the way that the Lord speaks to me, he speaks to me in twos, right? He'll speak to me in my spirit, and then I'll hear something else from someone else, right? Or I'll watch something and it'll be a confirmation of what the Lord has already been speaking with me. So when this person brought it to me, I was like, okay, this is the Lord telling me I really need to change up my wording, change up how I write. And also, I have a few scriptures, because, I always like to go with facts of what I believe. Now, mind you, you may be watching this and you may not have a strong faith as me, and you may be saying, oh, I loved you, or I came to you because of how you wrote, and thank you, but I apologize, right? I have to be obedient to the Lord. And so Deuteronomy 28, 1-3, and John 10, 27 talks about how those that love the Lord hears his voice and obeys his voice. And how can we please God without obeying his commandments, right? How do we please God without faith? How do we say we love this God that we serve and we don't keep his commandments? And so with that, when the Lord speaks to us, his sheep knows his voice, right? So we should know, or at least I know, the voice of the Lord versus fleshly desires. And so when the Lord is speaking to me, it is imperative that I obey, because obedience is better than sacrifice, is what I believe. And so I'd rather obey than to have to pay for my disobedience later on in this life or the next. And so with all that, that is why I'm redefining my writing styles, like I said, as far as being so graphic in the erotic aspect of it. I still intend to give you guys drama. I still intend to give you guys real world scenarios. I still intend to give you guys real characters that you can identify with. And so that's not going to change. It's just more of the heavy erotica that I write when I do write my scenes in my book. You will also see in this month's monthly vlog, I did also get rebaptized. And so I had got baptized a little younger. I was like young adult, maybe teenager type. And but my life since then has changed up and down. And on the course that I'm in right now, I am truly surrendering all to Christ. And so I wanted to just get rebaptized, just kind of a physical representation of where my life is at right now. Mind you, you don't have to get baptized over and over. You don't, one time should be good, right? But I like to joke and tell people that the first time didn't take, and so that's why I got rebaptized. But I did get rebaptized, and so with all those signs of, what the Holy Spirit has been talking to me about, what this girl was saying, with me, making the decision to get rebaptized, I said, okay, it's time for me to change up what I'm doing, because how does this bring people to Christ? How does this bring people to God? And I'm not coming off, I don't want to come off as a Christian author, right? I'm just a indie author. And so however that may look like, that's for you all to decide, right? Not for me. I'm still going to write. I'm still going to give the stories that I have in my head. Like I said, I have so many stories right now that I want to get out. There's one where it's going to involve, like, I guess it is kind of more Christian, but it's going to involve, there's a series that I have, and it's going to take the vows, and each book is going to be about the different marital vows. And some couples will make it, some couples won't, but you get to see them fall in love, you get to see them get married, you get to see them have their conflict, and then how they deal with that conflict. And I am like 100 and some pages in one book, but I don't want to release them all until all of them are finished. And so I have that one. Then I have another one that I've been conjuring up, and it's basically about, church hurt and how this couple gets through that. It's just a lot of that's going on. And so hopefully what I anticipate is that this video helps me to really get into that feel good of writing again. Not saying that I lost interest or that it's just other things been taking my attention. He's been taking my attention. And so I just really want to get back into writing and giving you all books. I've been writing multiple books a year since 2024. And so I kind of has just been like, okay, let me rest. But now I'm ready to get back on the grind, along with, my other priorities that are paying the bills. I just really want to go back and give you all some more book content. This video is going to play out. I'm going to give you 4 different tips on how to get out of a writing slump. I also have an extra tip at the end, but I'm going to take you on this journey. So each tip, I'm going to be in different locations and take you on the journey to show you what I do for these tips. And so hopefully this will help you to either get out of a writing slump or to get back into something. Say that it's something that you've been putting off for a while, or a vision that you have, or a desire that you have, and you've been putting it off for a while. Hopefully these can be certain tools that you can use within your field to get out of that slump as well. This can also be good if you're in a reading slump. And so this is, just because it says writing slump doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a writer to use these tools. These tools will help you in any aspect of your life where you're just kind of been putting it off, dragging your feet about it, and you want to get back to doing what you love to do. So tip number 1 for getting out of a reading slump is to read within your genre. So as I've mentioned before, I write fairy tale retellings, and I also write urban fiction.
I'm in the process of writing a paranormal romance book. And so the book that I will be reading is Claiming Gabriel by Tessa Stone. So I've read books by this author before, the Winter Moon series, if you're aware of that. That's what this book is. And then she has a Winter Moon short series. I've read that first. I read maybe the first two books in that series before I realized that the Winter Moon series was the first series that I was supposed to read. And so the first book in this series is Taming Cain, and that was a really good book. And I love the paranormal romance aspect that she has with each character and each book. If you don't know anything about her, she's an indie author. And the Winter Moon is basically a world where these shapeshifters live in. So you have dragons, you have bears, you have wolves, you have what else? I want to say lion. There's the Amir, he's a lion. And then now she's writing even more books. And you have spiders, like vampires, everything, right? And so I love how she intermingles all of the books together to be this one series. And so I'm excited to read Claiming Gabriel, and that's what I'm going to read right now. And so hopefully this will help me to get out of a writing slump. As you can see, I'm home now. I ended up going to Barnes and Noble a little later because I went after work. And by the time I kind of walked around, did some separate reading, and then vlogged for you all, it's got close to about time for them to close. So I just decided to just come on home. I'm gonna do some more reading before I do my night routine. So you'll see me do that, and then I will just pick up where I left off tomorrow. I want to reach the 20% mark because I'm going to be annotating this on Goodreads. So I'll know when I reach 20%. But once I reach the 20% mark, I will come back and check in with you all to let you know my thoughts on this. When I was reading at Barnes and Noble, I was making some faces because I haven't picked up this series in a long while. And so I kind of forgot some of the characters. And so there was one character named Damon. I just realized in the prologue that he's a vampire. And so I was like, wait, did we meet this person already or whatever? And so I'm curious to see how this book continued to unfold. Like I said, I just read the prologue at Barnes and Noble, and then I just came out here back home. And so I want to get to at least maybe chapter 5. We'll see how long it takes for me to get to 20% or what chapter it is that will get me at 20%. And then I'm going to call it a night because I am kind of tired. Like I said, I just got back I got off work, and today has been tough as far as work wise, long hours. And so I am tired, but I do want to put at least a dent in this because there is another book that I want to get into for this vlog, for this video, that will help get out of a writing slump. And so Again, I'm reading this because the group project that I'm doing is paranormal romance. And so hopefully I fall in love with this book and it'll get me the motivation to write my own paranormal romance for the group book that I am working on with two other ladies. So I feel myself talking slow and tired. And so I'm going to just cut it right here.
Tip 2 is to make sure that you research your book. If you are writing a genre, specifically mine like paranormal romance, you want to make sure that you are bringing elements into your book of that particular genre. So if it's romance, what is a common theme with the romance world that you probably need to add to your book? So that's what I'm doing right now, is seeing what is an element with paranormal romance that a lot of readers love, enjoy, and something that I just have to have. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, but you should have a surprise or a gotcha in your book that makes your book stand out amongst the rest in your genre. Make sure that the storyline and the plot is believable. And by doing so is by first making sure the elements are there for a paranormal romance so that you can see how you can change it as well to fit your writing style and your creativity.
Is to change your setting. You want to get into an environment where it will motivate you to write. Sometimes being at home is a distraction. And so being out in the public, right now I'm at a restaurant, so I'm about to get something to eat, but I also have my iPad so that I can work as well. So changing your setting, changing your environment will help you get into a writing mood. Now, after you've done all of that, tip number 4 is to write. This is where you are just going to set chapter goals for the day, word count goals for the day, or maybe even page count goals for the day. You're just going to write until your heart is content. Don't worry about editing. Don't worry about proofreading. Just write everything that comes to mind. Write everything that you're feeling. And then when you have nothing else to write about, then that's when you go back and proofread what you've done. I've learned that whenever I'm writing and I try to edit as I go, I lose a train of thought or I'll lose something that was key to the plot or key to the characters. And so I've learned that whenever I just write until my heart is content, I write until I can't think of anything or I reach a roadblock, then I will use that time to go back over what I wrote and edit that way. Or sometimes I will take a day, I will put it down, and then the next day I'll come back to it. And before I start writing again, I will edit what I wrote. And then that'll help me to get back into the mind frame of where I was at when I was writing that. So don't second guess yourself. This step is fairly easy and it's just write the book.
If you made it this far, then you are ready for the extra tip that I have. So just looking at my notes, if you see me looking down, but the extra tip that I have is to have a trusted friend to share your progress with. For me, when I'm writing and I might be stuck at a certain plot or I might be stuck at a certain character development, I will actually contact a trusted friend or even contact some of my ARC readers who've been ARC reading for a while with me and ask them what are they seeing. Do they have any questions with the story so far? And their excitement and their feedback I take internally. And if they're excited for whatever I just gave them, then it kind of makes me and pushes me to continue this book because then now they're ready to finish the book out with me. Also, if they're giving me any feedback, I try to take feedback from people who are readers And then even feedback from people who just casually read, because I don't just want to target my books to the avid readers. I want people who may read from time to time when they have spare time. How would I grab them? How would I keep their attention when I'm writing these books? And so I would ask them as well. I would definitely ask a friend or an ARC reader who I trust, that reads within the genre. If they're heavy on paranormal romance, then they know all aspects of the shapeshifters, of all the, the world of paranormal romance. And so with that, I'm really depending on their feedback, because then they can tell me if I missed a mark somewhere. And I know that some authors, they have what they call a beta reader, and that's basically someone who would read your book and then point out any plot holes or point out any character development issues or structure of your book that you may need to fix before you give it to the ARC reader, who will read your book for a review. But for me, when I'm writing, or when I'm in that process of writing, and I might have a hiccup and I might just put it down for 2 weeks, those are when I trust that friend or that trusted ARC reader that I've been working with for a while, to kind of help me get back into my groove of writing, or to help me get back into this story. Because we could be our worst critics, right? We can be writing something and it could be phenomenal, but to us, we see all these loopholes, we see all these breaks, we see all these issues. But when you have a separate set of eyes or ears, if you want to read it to them, if you have a separate set of person who can say, no, this is actually pretty good, I like this structure, I like that structure, and they're detailed in their feedback or constructive criticism, that really helps as well to get out of that writing slump, because then it'll push you to finish your project.
Those were all the tips and the extra tip that I have for getting out of a writing slump. So like I said before, I hope that this has helped you. If you are in a writing slump, if there's something or an area in your life that you have just been putting off and you want to get back to it, hopefully some of these tips is what you can use to get you out of that slump. If you made it this far, drop a writing emoji for me in the comment section. I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for liking, thank you for commenting, and thank you for sharing this video. Until next time, I'll see you in the next one.